because there is so many different beautiful traditions, and I feel like I get exposed to many traditions and cultures because I have such a hunger for learning. And so I get to meet people, and I'm reading things, and I'm listening to podcasts, and I'm, sitting in different ceremonies with different people of different lineages. And it's all so beautiful that it can feel a little like you get lost in it and you don't know where to focus, or you feel like you're not allowed to focus in certain areas because it's not your lineage. So um I feel re-inspired to focus on that and learn more and see how I can, bring that into my current day.
Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. We are here today just chatting about what is present for us here on February 1st. And so the big thing that shines to me, it being February 1st, is that it is the first day of Imbolc. And I'd love to share how I got to celebrating this day through this journey, this conversation.
Yay. I'm excited to learn more about what this is because aside from our brief conversation, it's a new area to explore. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So where it really began was decolonizing my business. And what that means is removing the colonial and capitalistic ways that we typically have as settlers in the United States. I was going to say Montana, but it's everywhere in the United States. And one of those ways of decolonizing my business is connecting to my roots and what is my traditions of my ancestors. And previously, I didn't really know where I came from. And I think you resonated with that too until recently. We both got our DNA tests in. And I feel like that gave me so much permission, like a path, a way forward to find my culture. Before I felt really lost. Like my culture as a white woman in the United States was hot dogs, football, and beer. Like, I don't know if you resonate with that, but that's like, I don't eat hot dogs and I no longer drink beer and I don't watch football because I feel like that's just another thing to keep people busy and entertained so that they don't go down the spiritual path. So that no longer resonated with me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so exploring different cultures and traditions and really feeling aligned with yoga and some of the Native American traditions, but then finding out that I can't just take the pretty things without fully understanding the suffering and the oppression that those cultures have gone through. And that was really eye-opening through this whole process. So I'm excited to connect with my roots and the big portion of my DNA comes from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. So to me, that feels like Celtic traditions. And I'm just really excited to explore that more.
Yeah, I'm excited that we both have the Scottish and Irish roots, so we can kind of share what we're learning and exploring those same lineages. So I think that's like 30% of mine, uh, which I should have already put those pieces together, but I kind of forgot that my grandmother's maiden last name was McCracken. So I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, there's Scottish in our lineage, but I just didn't really think about it because I've never met her. And so that was just kind of something my mom had told me long ago. But my family never talked about our
Yeah.
origins, roots, traditions, anything like that. So it's like all
Mm.
territory.
Yeah, and I feel so lost without having like the oral tradition of it being like passed down. Like this is what we've always done in our family because I feel like with the settlement, a lot of that got lost.
Yeah.
Um, unless it was really strong. I don't know. I didn't live I didn't live here hundreds of years ago, but I didn't grow up with any traditions. And the
Yeah.
first time I was introduced was my stepmom when she was talking about making lepsa. Like that's something that their family continued to make. And on my side, we didn't have any of those kinds of traditions.
Yeah. Yeah. Me neither.
My husband's family, they make pofages, which are like little pancake balls. And so these people around me had some traditions that they were carrying, but I did not have any in my childhood.
Have there been any traditions that have popped out at you and resonated as you've been doing reading and research, that feels like something that you either want to explore or maybe something that pops out as like, oh, I bet my family did that, like that knowing.
Yeah. Um, really just exploring like that pagan traditions and that way of living, which is connecting with nature and living with what is already provided to you. And I was introduced to Wicca in high school, and that is like a branch of paganism. But I didn't really feel like I had the privacy to practice, so I just kind of did what I could and then it fell away. But during that time, I was like obsessed with Celtic knots. I had a necklace and a bracelet, and so it like feels like it came full circle with that.
Wow, that's cool.
So one of the biggest pagan traditions is the wheel of the year. And that's honoring the summer solstice, winter solstice, spring equinox, fall equinox, and then the cross quarters in between. So today, Imbolc is one of those cross quarters.
Okay,
Just making sure that I didn't have that backwards, but this is a cross quarter.
that makes sense.
Um, and then there's other ones. So Samhain around Halloween time, and then two others that I can't, or yeah, I can't pronounce them, I don't think. So we'll just wait until I get there and I will learn how to honor those ones. But Imbolc is that halfway between winter solstice and spring equinox. So like when the sun is starting to reemerge and come out and life is beginning to poke through the snow if you live in a place that has snow. And I should reference that this is celebrated in the northern hemisphere because in the southern hemisphere, they're celebrating a different holiday, maybe Samhain. But whatever, this is the northern hemisphere. Um, and it's kind of like that renewing of life. Back at the ancient times, they would have just been coming out from like hiding essentially from the harsh winters. And that is, I couldn't imagine living in wintertime without a furnace.
Right? Yeah.
So, yeah, I read that they would bring in their animals to help keep them warm, like the animals in the house, not just in their stables, but bring them into the house. That's,
Yeah.
that's a bit much.
Especially
So,
when houses were probably the size of modern day living rooms, like they were
yeah,
not as spacious as they make them now.
yeah. I could not imagine all being like stuffed inside all the humans, and then you bring the animals, and then all of the food stores that you would have prepared for the long winter. It's a bit
Yeah.
such different living conditions. Um, so along with Imbolc is honoring the goddess Bridget, and that's new for me. I have not worked with her, so I'm excited to connect with her. And I want to make soda bread, which this book recommended as something to do. So this is Llewellyn's Sabbat Essentials, and it came in a set of all 8 Sabbats to read about. And then there's rituals and practices and stuff to kind of connect with the holidays. So
Neat.
this year I'm going to really connect with each day as it comes on the wheel of the year.
I think it's really neat that like you were talking about how the day represents, emerging from the winter, new life poking through, but then it also feels like there's this remembrance and emerging of your um heritage and culture coming from within you, and then your business is emerged from within, and I'm like, isn't that so perfect?
Yeah, it is really juicy. And speaking of all of that, it's like this not only is nature emerging, but like so are like the projects and dreams that you have been dreaming about and envisioning and like cultivating from within all winter long. Those kind of
Mhm.
come to fruition. And when I look at quantum evolution, I feel like I just like not necessarily threw it out there, but I was very excited to get it out there. But if I would have dreamed with it more through the winter, this would have been the time to emerge with it. And so
Mm,
curious how I can work with this energy in my business. And
yeah.
it's a little hard because I'm a manifesting generator and I feel like I can do things in a completely different way. And so I almost feel like this would hold me back, but maybe slowing down would be more beneficial. So we'll see what happens.
It's neat that the alignment is also very close to spring equinox. So it almost feels like there's the emerging of life, the emerging of inspiration and ideas. And then there's this kind of incubation period between now and spring equinox, but also March being the energetic new year. And it seems like that's when that sprout would really start growing, and the energy to give those inspiration and ideas momentum is what naturally flows after
Yeah.
this date. So yeah, nature's cool.
Yeah.
It all lines up.
Yeah. It is so cool. And I love how my designated sun gazing spot, the sun is now back where I can see it. You know, it had been like tucked behind a house because of the way everything repositions and the sun is so low in the winter time. So I've been sun gazing this week, almost like unbeknownst to me that it was like part of this, the sun is reemerging type of theme, that it's just so aligned. And I think the sun gazing has really helped me like shed the seasonal depression that was really starting to weigh
Mm,
me down, that like reconnecting with the sun has like lifted me back up, lifted those spirits.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really been feeling called to connect with the elements more. That's something that I think I'd been called to that for quite a while, but I really felt a couple of things that the Tinders mentioned in our last podcast that resonated with me, especially about meditating on what we can learn from the different elements and taking that time when we're in nature to have that beginner student mind and look to nature to learn and not just be. And I think before, while I was probably learning unconsciously based on my love for being in nature, I wasn't consciously asking myself those questions in silence of like what can I learn from the wind or the fire or the earth? And there's so much depth there. I'm excited to explore it more. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's amazing. And sun gazing, there's so much to learn from the sun too. So, I can't wait for us to emerge from this cloudy, rainy season that is beautiful in its own way and so nourishing for our mountains and trees and forests. I'm loving it and grateful because I want a mild fire season this year, and I'm really excited for spring and the sun to reemerge and to feel it on my skin.
Mm,
It's one of my favorite feelings.
yeah, like that warmth. Mm. It almost like gives me goosebumps just thinking about the warm sun on my skin and
Yeah.
like the cool breeze.
It's almost like a yearning from our skin of like, yes, give it to me.
Yeah, yeah. And you've been out tending your garden and getting it ready for planting? Or is it always grow
Yes.
season?
Typically we would be growing in the winter. We usually grow um some of the frost hardy type of things like all of the brassica family and garlic. Garlic's usually our main one. But we got pretty busy this year and didn't end up planting a fall garden. So now we're just prepping for spring. We'll probably get some, hopefully an early start on spring. That actually reminds me that I had a dream last night that I went outside and all of the beds were like perfectly prepared and all the weeds had been pulled and they were ready for planting. And I was like, oh my gosh, when did Chris do this? This is so cool. And now I'm realizing that's a dream and they do not look like that.
That's so
But
funny.
premonition on how they will look, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I haven't had I haven't remembered my dreams, but I'm so thankful that I've been sleeping so deeply recently. I
Mm.
feel like collectively there's a loss of sleep. Like there's a lot of like that ascension symptom of not getting any sleep and having like the bags under your eyes. And I, while my face might be puffy, I don't have sleepless bags.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Have you been sleeping okay?
Um, it's been kind of hit or miss for me. Um, and I notice especially around the full moon, I am usually much more restless and will often wake up at night. Uh, but I'm starting to learn to just embrace it. And sometimes the meditations you have at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep are the best ones. So now instead of fighting it when that does happen and just laying in bed and being frustrated that I can't sleep or thinking about how many hours I have left or how long I've been awake, usually I won't give it a whole lot of time before I just get up and go sit at my altar or sit at by the fire and just try to say, okay, what am I here to learn about, think about, reflect on? And sometimes it's just a nice session alone. And sometimes I have incredible visions and downloads. And one time I had this inclination that I needed to put a protective shield around my property and to pray for protection. And as soon as I felt like I had generated that safety and protection from me over my own bubble and then my house and then my property, it was almost like, okay, your work's done. You can go back to sleep. I was like, all right.
Wow. That's so fascinating.
So it's like,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know if that was maybe it was in my head, maybe it wasn't, but going with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the veil is thin at like what, 2 or 3 a.m.
Yep.
And so like that could be like why you're waking up and getting those nudges and those whispers to do some of those things.
Yeah. Sometimes they say that when you're sleeping is the only time when messages can make their way through because you don't have so much noise and clutter from the conscious mind in our
Yeah.
waking state. So those messages that we're always receiving and can hear become louder and we're more sensitive to them.
Yeah. before hopping on, we talked about how sun gazing helps with the circadian rhythm, and so that can help
Mhm.
with that natural sleep cycle. And that could be not necessarily to you, but anybody else out there that's struggling with sleep. And I know you got a sauna now, and that's what I think is really helping, or you got your sauna fixed. That's what's really been helping me sleep, is we've been getting in the sauna before we go to bed. And then we get out, we
Mm.
drink our tea, and then we pass out.
Yeah. Yeah. Having that nighttime routine of winding down, that helps a lot. I love sitting in the sauna at night because I usually stretch and then I end up waking up feeling better because I'm not as stiff.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and like stretching with that warmth is really helpful.
And for those who like the little bit of the science behind the why of sun gazing helping your circadian rhythms, which does equate to your sleeping rhythm and cycles, is that the light hitting your eyes actually sends signals to your brain to produce appropriate levels of melatonin. And while it might sound counterintuitive to send those production signals in the morning, it's signaling the body that we're now exiting that sleeping time for the body and we're entering into the waking time, and then it kind of resets the clock for the melatonin so that it then knows when it should be producing it appropriately later. So for those who perhaps work from home and they wake up and then immediately go into their job or their daily and they don't go outside, they don't have a reason to. Sometimes the body gets confused because it never has natural light, and our fluorescent lights or LED lights, they don't trigger the same response in the brain. So the brain gets stuck in confusion because it doesn't know what the real day is. In a sense, I'm sure the light does affect it. You know, you're walking by a window, we're sending some signals, but it's not the same as going outside and getting that natural direct light from the sun. It triggers the brain differently and helps us stay in that natural rhythm. So,
Mm, yeah. And I just feel like we should throw out like sun gazing at sunrise and sunset, not at noon when the sun is at the
yes.
highest point in the sky. That could be damaging. And I just breathe and I'll open my eyes, kind of let them flicker as I adjust to it. And then I'm able to open my eyes longer as I just kind of stare, gaze into the sun. But even if you're facing the sun and your eyes are closed, it's still like penetrating your third eye and very helpful in that way. But if you can get your eyes open long enough to gaze at the sun, you'll reap more of those benefits.
Yeah. Just don't blind yourself. You know, it's balance.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed when I was staring that there was like this black like shade over the sun, as if my body was like protecting me from how bright it actually was.
Interesting.
It was really fascinating. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on on that.
That is interesting. Yeah, you have to let me know.
Yeah. Um so yeah, I'm going to do a meditation from Rebecca Campbell on the goddess Bridget and connect with her. I'm really excited. I want to make that soda bread. I think my daughter will want to make that with me. And that's kind of more to do with making homemade butter out of the lamb's milk. So I guess lamb or sheep, a lamb is a baby sheep, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know. The sheep mate in like late fall and they're pregnant throughout the winter, and it's this time that the lambs are born, and because they're born
Um,
this time, the sheep then begin to produce milk after a long dry winter essentially, and so then people had access to milk to drink,
okay.
and then they make butter for this day, I guess. That's what the book says. And then they made something else with it. Maybe jam?
Mm,
I don't
neat.
remember, but the butter on the soda bread. But I have my own butter. I'm not gonna make homemade lamb butter, lamb's milk butter. But I did want to go get some lamb's milk to offer it to the fairies, as I don't think they would like my cashew milk or my coconut milk. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe my fairies do. Maybe mine are accustomed to the
Yeah.
alternative. Yeah,
Uh, I'm sure the thought goes a long way either direction.
yeah.
I'm curious to know more about Bridget.
Mm.
What does she represent, and um what have you read about working with her and what she brings into life, what energy she's embodying?
I'm going to refer to the book just because I don't have a full understanding. So, Bridget is a goddess of many forms and has presented herself as all three aspects, so maiden, mother, and crone, of earth goddess. Over many generations, she has proven to be not only powerful, but also a very durable goddess. Um, she's often called the goddess of Ireland, and she was also an important goddess in Scotland, Wales, and many Western parts of Western Europe. She's the goddess of fire and flame, change, poetry, inspiration, transformation, wisdom, metalworking, and the fire of forge, healing, creativity, water, prophecy, education, and learning.
Wow.
Um, so much. And when they converted the area over to Christianity, they named her Saint Bridget. So they brought her along. So not only is she like durable in all of those senses, but durable in that she survived through that transition. And then as
Wow.
like the pagan traditions have
That's
been,
got to be extremely rare.
yeah, I don't know how many. I mean, obviously, I just started reading this book, but I don't know how many that have been through that process. But now she's being revitalized as the goddess, since we're able to honor these traditions. They were stolen from those people, and they were forcefully converted to Christianity, and it's not very fun to read about because I'm already passionate about that. And so it's just like firing that
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah.
So, but I guess that's a good thing. It's good to be passionate about something. It's good to stand for something because if you don't, you will just be converted.
Yeah. To something,
But
conscious or
yeah.
unconscious.
So,
Yeah.
very powerful, and I'm excited.
I love that she represents all three aspects because that seems really timely for you, but also just the collective of that integration back to wholeness and the duality that we play as women who wear the hats of multiple roles, and
Yeah.
um, how beautiful to engage in a relationship with an energy that is embodying all of it and can
Mm,
stand and say, no, you can do all of it, you get to be all of it. That's good.
yeah. Oof.
I'm excited to learn more about it through you. I might have to get that book too, or maybe I'll
Mm.
get a different book and then we'll share notes.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Uh, I just totally wish I could just skim it and take it all in. Like
Yeah,
flip through
just
it with my
direct
finger
download.
and it's done. I read it. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? But I can't do that. I need patience.
Yeah, yeah.
This has
If we were
been,
able to download stuff into our brain, it would probably require some kind of like chip scenario, which I'm not about. So
Me either. I keep telling Ryan, he's not that he's trying to get it, but but I'm like, it is naturally happening. And I think that the technology that they're trying to develop and force out there is just going to mask that, even though it's already happening, like with the
Yeah.
reawakening and coming back into the golden age. Is that what I just
Hmm.
turned into? So
Yeah.
I just be patient because it's right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, this has
Anything
been
else
juicy.
you want to share on the holiday, your learnings, heritage, lineage, decolonizing?
Mm. I just feel like learning my ancestry gave me this huge permission slip and like a direction. And if you don't know your ancestry and you feel lost, take a DNA test. I took mine through ancestry.com. And then you can have a direction to start researching and connecting, and you can call upon your ancestors and connect with them in this current time and learn from them. And I think that's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Anything else you want to say before we close up?
Mm. No, I feel re-inspired through your inspiration to dive into my own lineage more. And yeah, I feel like it's nice to have that direction of where to explore because there is so many different beautiful traditions, and I feel like I get exposed to many traditions and cultures because I have such a hunger for learning. And so I get to meet people and I'm reading things and I'm listening to podcasts and I'm, sitting in different ceremonies with different people of different lineages. And it's also beautiful that it can feel a little like you get lost in it and you don't know where to focus, or you feel like you're not allowed to focus in certain areas because it's not your lineage. So um I feel re-inspired to focus on that and learn more and see how I can, bring that into my current day offerings and ceremonies and daily
Mhm.
practices. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Mhm. So beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us today in this random musings of what is currently present for us. We hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you again next time.
Hi, friends.